I'm yet to see the movie The Predator, but while I wait for some people to watch the movie with, I decided to make the mask from the movie. As usual, this 3D printing adventure starts on Thingiverse, where I found an adult-sized model of the helmet, and a video briefly describing the painting process. I downloaded and sliced the model in Cura using the settings on screen. I printed all of the pieces with a brim and support with a layer height of 0.2mm. After cutting the waste material off, I attempted to glue the pieces together with super glue, but because I'm impatient, I switched to CA glue after the pieces broke apart multiple times. Because CA glue isn't the strongest, I just used some epoxy on the inside to give it some strength. I used Bondo to cover and fill the gaps where the seams were and sanded it smooth. Then I went over it with some spot putty to fill in any large and visible print lines. After sanding everything smooth, I was ready to start priming. I did 2 coats of filler primer, making sure to sand it thoroughly in between each coat. Once it was smooth enough for me, I covered the whole thing with a semi-gloss black paint. To add the silver color, I just used a sponge and some acrylic paint. I made sure there was only a small amount of paint on the sponge before dabbing on the color. Once that was dry, I dry brushed on some brown to give it a more weathered look, and then I coated the whole thing with a clear gloss coat. For the dreadlocks, I just used 3/4 inch backer rod that I cut to length. I used a burner to melt the ends so that way it didn't just look like a cylinder. After that, I sprayed them all with plasti dip to give them some weather protection and color. cut off the brim of a baseball cap and glued it to the inside of the mask to make it wearable and to give me a place to secure all of the hairs. I just use hot glue to stick each one of these things on. Some of them are glued to the baseball cap and some of them are glued to the mask itself. After that, I just had to add a few details. For the eyes, I just used the lenses of a cheap pair of sunglasses that I got at Dollarama. I just hot glued those to the inside. Then I also printed and painted some beads to go on the dreadlocks. These are just little cylinders I modeled in Fusion to fit snugly around the back rod. I didn't primer sand any of them, I just spray painted them with gold and slid them on. The helmet's done. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, and it only took 2 days to build, so it's a fun little project if you've got a weekend with no plans. Just be cautious, it's a little bit on the pricey side if you've got to go out and get back rod and plasti dip, but I think it's well worth it. As usual, links to all the materials I used and the model I printed will be in the video description. As always, there's a few things I would do differently if I were to make the project again. For this project, I would say I would scale the mask up about 10% because it's a bit small on my face. I would also get some thinner backer rod because the 3/4 inch is a bit thick. I would also do maybe a little less dreadlocks. Thank you for watching, and as always remember we're BLARG. BLARG stands for Baronet Load Alters Radius Gain.